So back in the late 1960s, 1970s, early 1980s, my dad was with a company, Builder Marks of America, who owned affiliate lumber companies all over the country. They combined their buying power, they combined their best practices, and that was that's my dad's background. Anyway, a long story short, my dad saw the beginnings of Home Depot and Lowe's as being just a tectonic shift in the lumber industry. In those days, a lumber company sold lawn chairs, sold framing nailers, and had piles of lumber and sold framing lumber and doors and windows, etc. So my dad saw what was coming, decided to cash in his chips, and that was the capital we had to start the business. But probably the even bigger inspiration to my dad to start something on his own is he wanted to have a business that was Christ-centered, that was biblically based, that the way we treated our coworkers, our customers, our vendors would be done in an honorable way, that a lot of just businesses do what's in their own best interest and not necessarily in the best interest of the other stakeholders, which are employees, customers, vendors, etc. So I was still in college at Furman University. I was a senior in college, and my dad asked all of us kids, who wants to come be in the lumber business? We're going to start a company from scratch. And I had never wanted to be in the lumber business, but as I'm facing graduation with no real job prospect, I thought, sign me up.
Doesn't sound terrible.
It doesn't sound so bad. It's a job and a paycheck. And I loved working with my dad. My dad and I worked together for 25 years and had a great relationship, and I learned a lot, and hopefully I've been able to pass some of those truths on to this next generation. And Lord willing, we've got some great days ahead.
I think for us at this company, I think the owners of this company, I think a lot of the folks who work at this company trust that ultimately God has a plan, and He's called us to be faithful and to trust that He's a good and loving God, and to run the race that He's given us, and to trust Him as we run that race. It doesn't always feel like, hey, this is the path I would take. I love this path. But there's good reasons we're going down it that we don't always know. I think, if we're just looking at the financial aspect of things, we a lot of times go, well, let's go down that path, or let's go down that path. But if God calls you to go down this path, and trust me, this company's done such a good job of taking care of its people. And I've had some of builders come up to me and go, a lot of your competitors really value profitability. Well, we value profitability too, but we also value that this company is one that values its people more than it does its profitability. We can't do the things we'd like to do if we're not profitable, if we're not successful. But we do need to trust that we're in a place where God has us, and we need to trust that He's a good God, and He's sovereign, He's control, and that we're okay where we're going, and we need to focus on the path that He gives us, work hard in that, and trust in Him.
All right, I kind of want to fast forward to the 2004, 2005 era. I know there was some renovations happening on the yard, but without having a crystal ball at the time, we know what happens 3 or 4 years later in the crash of '08. So I would assume that during the Building 5 era, there was a sense of optimism, enthusiasm. So I wasn't there. I'm curious, what was the mindset back in the early 2000s?
Well, the early 2000s, business was booming. Everybody thought the end of the world was going to come when the World Trade Centers came down, but actually after the world recovered, it was boom time, and it was so good you kind of thought it'll never end. We, at that time, did great amounts of business. There would be trucks lining up for a mile trying to make deliveries to us. It was so busy there was not room for one more forklift or one more delivery truck to come or go. We purchased 2 contiguous and adjacent pieces of real estate.
High dollar words.
So we had room to grow, and all of that happened. And then the great crash of 08, 09, 010, 11, 012. I mean, it was
contiguous years, if you will.
Never really ended.
No, it was bad, guys. We went from 25,000 building permits in Lee County, Florida, to less than 1,000 in 2010. So you got like a 99% decrease in building permits, and that's where we make our money.
Yep.
I guess the bright side of that is half of our competition went out of business. So when things did come back, you're not competing against half of your competition. So in God's providence, it worked out well, but it was tough and it was scary. The economy continued to get worse in 09 and 010. And we had 120 employees in 2005, and by 2010 we're down to like 45 employees. And then you're getting down to people who you know and love and have been with the company for years. And the sad fact of that whole cycle is some of your best people that you ultimately had to let go, you're turning loose in a job market where there were no jobs. The guys that you let loose on day one, went and got a job managing a Walgreens or doing something. And the guys you let loose on the very tail end are walking into just an impossible job market.
Yeah.
When I was a construction manager back, whatever it was, 21 years ago, you found that, pricing mattered, yes, service mattered, but at the end of the day, you really value doing business with people that you liked. Service became a real part of how are we going to allocate money to certain vendors of ours. I think that for Suncoast is always going to be part of what makes us special. Is we're not looking for just anyone. We're looking for right fits and certain partners here in this industry that value what we offer. We have salesmen here that are more like consultants than they are salespeople, and they get the real value in relationships. Relationships here will always be absolutely what sets us apart from some of our competitors. There's all these different platforms right now for e-commerce and e-commerce solutions, and they're neat, they're impressive, they're pretty to look at. But when you look at how we do business as a company, we do it the way that, my grandfather, when he was a builder down in Miami, 60 years ago, and it was relationships. And knowing that, everybody has the intention of things going well and things going smooth, but they don't always. And are you going to have a relationship, a business partnership with somebody who's going to hang out to dry? Or are you going to have a relationship with somebody who goes, I'm successful if you're successful, so let's figure this out? So I think that's what's different about Suncoast than a lot of guys. A lot of guys still operate on that, on the ledger sheet, it's zeros, ones, and at the end of the day, that's what wins. And yes, we want to be profitable. Yes, we like to win. We're very competitive, but we're different because culturally, relationships are most important here.
Lanny, I'm going to direct this one at you. There's a lot of things that are just moving and shaking. If I were you, I'd probably feel a little bit overwhelmed by whether it's Sam spending just large sums of money or Trey and his development ideas. What's the grounding principle that allows you to get a wink of sleep at night?
Because hopefully I have
It's a great
taught
question,
these
by the way.
boys understand stewardship. At the end of the day, God has given us people resources. He's given us financial resources. He's given us relational resources. And in any change environment, you have to be a good steward of all of those things. And I know the family gets that. And, I haven't yet felt like I needed to rein somebody in because we're just going pell-mell down a wrong path, but I think really stewardship is probably the reason that I am comfortable doing what we're doing and having the changes we're in the middle of, because I think they're rooted in good stewardship. And if we make a mistake, we course correct. We're not embarrassed to make mistakes. Some of the greatest lessons and opportunities have come from learning from mistakes. So as long as there's good camaraderie and esprit de corps of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it, and
Yep.
a willingness to go, well, that wasn't the right thing.
We've done that a few times.
We have. We'll do it a few more times.
But we're ultimately looking to create a culture of good stewardship. And part of good stewardship is letting somebody take the controls and go fly the plane for a little bit.
Yeah, and if all of the core values add up to be stride, one could say that there's purpose in every step.
Sure.
Little double entendre. Yeah, I've been sitting on that one. So maybe we can put that one.
Entendre.
Yeah.
Wow.
One of them high dollar words. I've been hanging around y'all for a little bit now.
You also said constellation earlier in a conversation with.
Oh no, that was our meeting today, and I don't even know why I said that.
Yeah, nobody else
Nobody else did either.
I think I was trying to string 2-3 ideas together, but I lost y'all on idea 3 and
You
was already on
lost
5.
us way before idea 3,
No, I
buddy.
like that purpose in every step.
I like that too. That was good.
And that's all the time we got time for, folks. I'll see you next week on episode 2. I mean, maybe that actually might have been.
Next week's episode is Yard Boys. Yard Boys.